Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about the 4 most powerful steps to transform your relationships. I want you to know exactly why we can all have complicated relationships with the people who we love the most. And I want you to know what you can do about it. So for those who don't know me, I'm licensed psychotherapist Joanna Kleinman, and I am #1 international best-selling author of Dethroning Your Inner Critic, and I am the host of the wildly popular Dethroning Your Inner Critic podcast. Now, the most important education we can ever have is understanding exactly how our thoughts impact our lives. And unfortunately, even though our automatic thoughts set the stage for how our whole life goes, we're not taught how to think. We just have these automatic minds that speak to us all day long. In fact, would you believe we have about 50,000 thoughts a day, and 85% of those thoughts are the same thoughts we keep having over and over again. Now, that running commentary is what I call your inner critic mind. And it's your inner critic who's causing the issues in your relationships. Most people think the issues in their relationships are a result of someone else. Now, don't get me wrong. People can do and say things that are not okay. But whenever you feel any uncomfortable emotion, like worry, or anger, or jealousy, or fear, or anxiety, or sadness, this is life holding up a mirror. Because these emotions are signals that you're swallowed by your inner critic mind. Now, your inner critic is just running her old computer programming, saying the same thing she has said to you over and over. It's just a different version of the same thing. And listening to and believing your inner critic thoughts will never lead to peace or happiness or love. So thoughts like, he needs to stop being so selfish, or she needs to show more affection, will never give you a more loving and connected relationship. In fact, those thoughts will always produce the opposite of that. So most people think that they are the running commentary of their inner critic, and they let that voice dictate how their life goes. So most people don't know the real secret to life, and that is that all of our problems are created in our mind from our memory. There's not a problem that really exists in reality. There's just what's so, and then there are your thoughts about what's so. And our inner critic is always trying to find ways to change or control or find solutions to what we see as a problem. And when you are listening to your inner critic mind, you're giving energy to what you think is wrong or broken or needs to be different. So I want to tell you the 4 things that you can do today to manage your automatic inner critic mind so that you can start to change the quality of your relationships. Because the quality of your relationships is the quality of your life, and it begins with your relationship with yourself. So the first step is, are you willing to examine all of your emotions? Because all of your emotions stem from your thoughts. Thoughts happen to us. It's kind of like how our hair grows, right? It happens whether we have attention on it or not. And your emotional reactions all stem from your thoughts. So when you're experiencing an emotion like anger or resentment or fear. There's always a thought that you've had many, many times before. So let's say you're in a meeting and your boss shoots down an idea that you have, or your partner criticizes you for forgetting to do something. Now, what are your thoughts? Do you blame your boss or your partner for making you feel unimportant or in some way not good enough? Now, you've felt not good enough or not important enough many, many times before. So something in the present moment has triggered a habit of thought, and you're now reacting from a thought that you've probably had since you were a kid. You think you're upset because of your boss's behavior, or maybe because of your partner's behavior. And then your mind focuses on trying to fix or change or criticize or control either your boss's or your partner's thoughts, which of course is impossible. So if you practice settling into this very moment, you can actually use your emotions to get curious about your thoughts. So ask yourself, why does this matter so much to me? And then write down the answer. Set a timer on your phone for like 2 to 5 minutes and keep asking the question, why is this important to me? And keep writing. And you will be amazed at what your automatic mind has to say. Now, the second step is to stop trying to interrupt or manage or control or fix or change somebody else's opinions and judgments. Because when you're trying to do that, you're actually trying to control how you feel. Your inner critic actually expects that you should never get rejected or criticized or judged. And that is not a realistic expectation. So when you break your inner critic's attachments to approval and acceptance from other people, what's on the other side of that is freedom to be you. You have a lot less attention on what other people think of you. So many of us have people in our lives that we wish we could change. And our inner critic convinces us that if we can change them, that's how we'll feel good. So our inner critic says, maybe if I just get angry enough, or I tell them over and over again what I'm upset about, or maybe if I take my love away entirely, that will change the relationship. And this is why human beings suffer. Because we keep doing the same things over and over again and expecting that at some point it'll work. You'll get the relationship that you want. Now, you've heard that one before, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So I want to ask you what would be possible for you if you could remain connected to your true self, even in the face of anyone else's judgment or criticism. Now, some of you are holding on to unhealthy relationships because you keep trying to fix or change somebody else instead of taking actions that are in alignment with loving and honoring yourself. So the third step is, if you want your relationship to change, you've got to heal yourself from the inside out. And I know that so many of you are watching and probably saying, well, why the heck do I have to change? Why doesn't the other person have to change? Now, maybe they do, but the answer to that is you have zero control over them. You only have a choice about how you think and feel and act. And when we are acting from our inner critic thinking, we are our worst selves. We're certainly not behaving in a way that's aligned with a loving and connected relationship to anybody else and not to ourselves. So when you know how to unhook from your automatic thoughts, you can choose to act in a way that can alter the quality of your relationships. Now, the fourth and most powerful step is to know the difference between you and your inner critic. Because the most powerful life that you can live is when you know the difference between you and the voice of your inner critic. You have a choice as to whether you're going to continue to allow your inner critic to rule your relationships, especially the relationship you have with yourself. Because that's the primary relationship that's responsible for how your whole life goes. So when you know how to think in a way that makes you feel proud of who you already are and the life that you're already living, you won't be needing other people's approval and love and acceptance. You might prefer it, but you won't need it. And if you don't need it, you can learn to be so much less reactive and angry and hurt in your relationships. You'll stop blaming somebody else for your suffering. And you'll also stop settling for relationships that really aren't a fit for who you really are. You'll know how to change your own thoughts, which will change your emotions, which will change your behaviors, which will change the way your relationships look. Now you have a choice to think from a rewired mind. You can walk away from your old inner critic story. You can start to focus on the qualities you love about the other person instead of focusing on what you want to change or fix. You can find the ways you already feel loved and appreciated by someone else. And you can find the reasons why you can love and appreciate yourself. You create a whole new story, shedding the beliefs and habits of your inner critic that have been keeping you small and stuck. So even when people act in ways that you would prefer them not to, you have a choice about your thoughts. So to recap, the 4 steps are: examine your emotions to uncover your thoughts, let go of trying to control other people's thoughts and judgments and opinions, be willing to do your own work to heal yourself from the inside, and know the difference between you and your inner critic. I hope this will inspire you to begin to rewire a new mind to design a life that you love. Thanks for watching.